Hello guys, International Master Andrei Ostrovsky here, and this is Weekly Learn from Chess Blitz show, which gives you an opportunity to play a Blitz game against me and to improve your chess, because I am here not to beat you, but to make you learn something new. If you're for the first time here, we're playing on LIKE so just go there and challenge me for a 5-minute game or 3+2 minute game. So I need slightly more time than usually to be able to explain the things. That's the main point of the show, and I hope you will learn a lot from this one. Although it is a strange one because it has a very strange name. It is Catch 22, but it is just the episode 22, and it was really hard for me to actually choose any other name. So what does it mean? Today I'm going to play something really insane. I will artificially create some problems for myself right from the start, which will increase your chances to win the game. At the same time, we will probably have a lot of absolutely crazy positions, so it is just a question if I will have a chance to escape. Alright, will it be really a catch-22 for me, or I will be successful? So many things depend on your ability to punish me for dubious openings and so forth. I'm really happy that there are a lot of guys already here on live chat. I'm really happy you're here, guys. Your support is really important. And the question, where is game? From AKPD, it should start very soon on lichess.org, because I already have some challenges from users. So you can find me on lichess.org by my nickname Mostrovsky, just like in the short link that you can find here below. It is bit.ly/Mostrovsky, so the same spelling. For my nickname on lichess. This link, bit.ly/Mostrovsky, leads to my YouTube channel. And if you're not the subscriber, it is time to subscribe to my channel. There you will find a lot of instructive stuff. All right, for now, it's just enough for the bullshit. Let's start playing, I guess. And the first challenge is from Surit. 5-minute game, let's go. I will accept the challenge. Marcin Burek also joined, as well as Zweihoekzax and Surit. And Mick is here as well. Hello, my friends. Okay, e4. So, how to create a problem for myself artificially. So, let's do something crazy like h6, a6, complete bullshit. And yeah, it will be hard for me to play this with black. How to actually add to this problem, maybe with a knight c6 move, I don't know. d4. Alright, so d5 is coming. I guess, well, I have only two choices here. It's like d7, d5, or maybe e6. Both look not very convincing, but I think that something like d5 is more or less fine if compared to e6. e6 just additionally limits my bishop, so let's try d5. So Mick says that he's 1800s plus already at lichess. Well, nice, good. You can see my rating has also increased. I'm 2600s plus. So my shape is becoming better and better day after day, which is a nice thing. But I think with openings I'm going to play this time. I will easily drop this rating. But again, only you can do this. You can force me back to 2500s maybe. Okay, ed6, what to do now? cd6 is really stupid. ed6 is also not that great. So I guess taking with the queen is something more or less, well, playable. In this case, we have something similar to Scandinavian maybe. But with the inclusion of strange moves like h6 and a6. And if a6 is more or less okay, I mean, it is something useful to prevent bishop b5 or knight b5, then h6 is not necessarily anything good. But well, let's try to utilize it. So bishop to f5, intending to have h7 square if it is attacked. And after knight to c3, it looks like I have knight to b4 possibility. Is it a good idea or not? Well, why not? In this case, I have a feeling I force something like rook to c1, which prevents white from castling long. And it feels like a more or less normal position already. So white somehow missed the opportunity, I guess. Paul is also here. Hello, Paul. Bishop to d3. This is very strange now, because I can take on d3, damaging the pawn structure completely. This d4 and d3 are too weak to be good pawns. All right. So it looks like it is not a catch-22 for black, but probably a catch-22 for white. So castles. All right, I guess it's time to complete the development. So something like e6 should be very natural here to prepare bishop e7 and to control d5 square additionally. That's important, I guess. Knight to e5, good move. Occupying this typical outpost. Is there a concrete threat? I don't think so, so I'll just play bishop e7. Continuing the development. The question from Eagles8, why is there an M in his name? It's like master. M stands for master. And even if I become a grandmaster one day, I won't change my nickname, because grandmaster is just a big master, but still a master. That's the point. All right. Okay, knight to e4 looks like a mistake because I can take twice and win a pawn. This helps white get rid of this ugly d3 pawn, but still, I think the material advantage I get is just very, very nice. Now I can take with the bishop, but I want to save my bishop on this diagonal, so I will take with the pawn. Alright, so 2 extra pawns, pair of bishops. I guess this position is very good. Very, very good for black. This fantastic outpost on d5. I can use it with literally any piece. I guess queen is not that bad either. So now I attack g2. d4 should be my next target, I guess. I'm quite tempted to start with b5. Aggressive push on the queen side, attacking the queen, which protects d4 pawn at the moment. Now I can attack d4. I mean, with the rook d8, I can also try this move. I think this move looks also great, because if takes on c5, I take with the bishop, and bishop will attack the rook on f2. If white doesn't take on c5, I can consider something like c4. This is also an interesting push. So something like grabbing the space, getting 3 pawns against 2, and so forth. Okay, dc5 gives me another portion of material. So queen d1, bishop c5, or bishop c5 immediately. I don't see a big difference. So let's take on d1 first. Then I will grab this c5. Yeah. Position is absolutely winning now. Knight e7, again, 2 options, to play rook d8 right away or to take on f2 first. Which one is better? have no idea. Let's do this. If knight c5, I just take on d1. Takes. Rook c8. Rook c2 now. Attacking g2, b2, literally everything in white's position. Yeah. So the only problem that I have 45 seconds, but I think position is so winning that this should be just good enough to convert it. Knight to b3. Alright, what about this bishop? It protects both b2 and h2, and one drops definitely after this f6. So the bishop has to clarify the position and bishop d3 or f3, I think, first. Now this check. It gives me the queen. It gives me the queen. Yeah, let's go for a queen. The king is almost checkmated, so only way out is through g3. But then I have g7, g5, limiting the king. And I have a sort of queen g2 checkmate now, as well as queen to f4 with queen to h4, so lots of threats. I mean, there is no chance. There is no chance to survive it. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look what happened in this game. H6 and a6. Wow, this was just a complete, well, crap. But white somehow misplayed it. First of all, I didn't really understand the idea behind playing e5. Because, well, with the help of e5, you definitely grab some space, but at the same time, you make your central pawn quite vulnerable. So now I can undermine it and solve my central problems. I think much better here just to continue with occupation of the center this way, just d4. And now if I play something like knight c6, like in a game, you just play d5 and my knight is kicked back to b8, where after you play c4, knight c3, and so forth. So moves like e5 usually creates a target for your opponent, but the normal situation in which you can afford playing something like e5 is when you win a tempo in the opening. So for example, in Alekhine defense, when knight goes to f6, then e5 looks great. Because you have the time after the knight goes away to add other pieces to support that pawn and so forth. So here e5, I didn't really like it. So knight to c6, still white has to be much better here. But I'm not sure that d4 was the best one here. Well, it's really hard to criticize something like d4. So this move is really natural. But at d5, I think e takes d6 is already a great step in the wrong direction. So your pawn on e5 is actually the asset, all right? It grabs the space, it controls very important squares like d6 and f6. So why should you even think of exchanging this great pawn? So you should simply support this pawn with other pieces and save it on the board for sure. It gives you advantage in space, it gives you a lot of different pleasant things. So I would have played something like, developing normal development move is bishop to d3, but right now it leads to knight to b4. So maybe I would have started with the c3 move. And after like bishop to f5, white can consider simple development like bishop e2 castles and so forth. So it feels like well, a mix of French defense, maybe closed Caro-Kann, but in for closed Caro-Kann, for example, knight on c6 occupies a strange position. So black usually wants to undermine the center with c7, c5, as well as in French, for example. But the knight simply stays in the way. So black will definitely have to spend the time on moving the knight, and this gives white some great perspectives. Moreover, there is an interesting idea of playing knight to h4. Looks strange at first glance because bishop definitely has h7 square, and well, what this knight on h4 is doing, but having this pawn structure, white can come up with the typical e6, I think. And after e6, typical sacrifice, maybe in this case it's not even a sacrifice because of this check on h5, but I think, well, taking on e6 is more or less forced if black wants to get at least some sort of compensation for all this things happening on the board, because if something like knight f6 is played and after ef7, king f7, well, so many light squared weaknesses all around the king, I can't believe black will survive it after simple bishop to d3, exchanging or trying to exchange this great defender of these light squares. I think white is simply much better. So something like this should be considered, and I think e takes d6 is in fact a serious mistake, because after queen to d6, I'm not sure that white even has the advantage still, because, well, yeah, queen on d6 is somewhat ugly. But if compared, for example, to Scandinavian, queen went to d6 in one move, not after playing queen d5 and being kicked with the knight after knight c3. So white didn't even win a tempo in this version of Scandinavian, right? And it appeared that these moves h6 and a6 are quite useful. So a6 stops your knight from getting to b5 squares. This square is very important here, as well as your bishop stays away from this square pinning my knight. By the way, typical thing in Scandinavian with the knight c6, right? To bring the bishop to b5, to have a better access to e5 square and so forth. So I guess this position is already balanced, and if I were white, I would have played something like c4 maybe, trying at least to grab some squares in the center. In which case, of course, one has to be careful after bishop f5, because there is already sort of threat like knight to b4, which may be annoying. So maybe it also makes sense to spend the time on something like a3 move, preventing this. And then knight goes to c3. That's the idea, and you try to play these typical positions with these central pawns d4 and c4. But, well, in this case, maybe black should consider something like bishop to d4 instead of bishop to f5. In which case, however, it is possible to try d5, and after, let's say, knight to e5, bishop to e2, everything is more or less fine for white, I guess. White is still fighting for initiative, so there is nothing wrong with that. Maybe d5 right away here, don't know. But definitely not bishop e3, it's just too passive. Yeah, it is a developing move, but bishop occupies a bad position on e3, so it doesn't necessarily make white's position better. And this knight c3, another mistakes in knight b4, quite pleasant. So I guess after rook to c1, black is already doing well after, say, knight to f6, and if a3, something like knight to d5. So just a normal Scandinavian. Well, black didn't make bad moves and is doing well. Feels very comfortable at very least. All right. Let's go further. The next game, MGTOW, let's play. I guess I will be playing with... No, again with black. So, you have a choice to punish me for a bullshitting opening. And let's try to play the one. Okay, a6, h6 is too much, so let's play b6. Not necessarily bad, but you know that the second move will be very bad. Something really bad, I mean. So b6 is playable. So, how to misplay it? Let's play h6. Another stupid mix of b6 and h6. But okay, that's exactly what I was going to do today. So to play something strange at the very beginning, to have absolutely crazy position, Yeah, very close to chess 960. So no theory whatsoever, just plain random stuff. So let's play g5 now. Fuchsia came. Very nice. I'm happy you're here. So we're playing very strange things now. Very strange ones. So b6, h6, g5. Strange. But white is not that aggressive, as we can notice here. So for example, pawn on e3 already limits the bishop on c1. So maybe I still have some chances to get the normal playable position after all. So in my opinion, when your opponent plays the obvious crap like this, you have to be much more aggressive. Much more aggressive. I will discuss this later. Okay, h3 preventing g4, but I didn't really want to play g4 because it only weakens my position. So let's continue with the development of the bishop. So it's like the double fianchetto, but I have slightly more aggressive setup here. I have h6 and g5, right? Now, bishop on c4 exerts some pressure on f7. So let's just limit the activity of this guy, additionally protecting g5 pawn. So just d6, I guess it's fine. Bishop d2, again, slightly strange move to me. Probably it's a preparation of the castling lawn, but it feels too slow. In any case, where should I put my knight, on f6 or e7? I guess e7 and maybe even to g6, controlling h4, additionally preventing this h3, h4, which I think could be quite annoying for black. And in case white plays e4, my knight can jump to f4 square. So in some lines, it can be really helpful and natural. All right. So now I think a6, preparing b5. Since the king is here, I have to try something connected with the attack on the queen side, I guess. Will first h5 be played against f4? Maybe, I don't know. Fabrice. King to b1. All right, let's continue with this strange pushes. So a6, b5, h6, g5. Well, time to bring the knight b8 to the action, I guess, through d7. At some point, my position may become really comfortable, by the way, because right now my pawns control a lot of important squares, especially in the center. Everything is just under control, which is very cool. And my knights are potentially better than white's knights, because white's knights are quite limited, while my knights will have some good outposts, I believe, very soon. So, okay, first, let's continue with the development. So knight at d7, intended knight to b6 maybe, and then knight to c4, right? So this is an interesting square for my knight. At the same time, I shouldn't forget about castling, about my king. So, I don't know which square is better for it. Maybe g8, maybe just staying in the center can be considered as well. So having this situation, I'm really tempted to try something like c7, c5 at some point. Right now it looks a bit risky because of my queen on d8. Maybe it's alright even now because I can take with the knight if white takes. So should I try this c5 right away, or queen e7, preparing everything carefully, should be played? I prefer queen to e7, honestly, because d6 may become the target after c5, so I just want to prevent it. So now I simply take with the knight, but taking with the pawn is also a move, by the way, with the idea of c4. This may be even better, I guess. Yeah, let's take with the pawn. Knight b5 isn't dangerous, I believe. So a b5, queen b5, bishop takes c4. I don't see how white can actually continue this attack against knight d7, and that pin of the knight f3 may be just decisive. So, well, there is a follow-up. So knight b5, a b5, queen b5, bishop e4, bishop a4 can be played. In which case, I will just take that bishop on a4. And after queen a4, I will take the knight on f3, and I will have a lot of minor pieces for the rook. All right. Yeah. I could have captured with the knight, by the way. That's why Jose says d6 becomes weak. Yeah, true, but what white can do? Just attack it with the queen and the rook. All right, I can protect it with my rook. My queen is already protecting it, so I don't think it is a big problem. Because I have a lot of counter threats based on this opened diagonal h8, a1 now. Okay, now I think this move should be played just automatically. All right, so just c4. Bishop goes to a2. Now it's completely limited there, just imprisoned for a long, long time. And I can leave white even without a possibility to make it free, just to take on c3 now. And there is no chance to bring that bishop to the game. In this case, however, I just give up my dark squared bishop, but I don't think it's really something that should stop me from this very natural positional operation, damaging the pawn structure. And what is really important now, this bishop has no way out. There is no chance. Unless it takes on c4 at some point, which gives me just extra material. Decisive one, I think. All right. Arjun Nowrovsky also came. That's fantastic. Queen to e3. Now I can take on e4. Now I can take e4 simply with the knight, I guess. Alright, yeah, let's take. Looks like a pawn. A central pawn. A very important one. Now the knight is under attack. Why not f5? Protecting it. Alright, there is a threat of rook d7, right? So let's play bishop c6. Chatsky asks, are you Russian? No, I'm Ukrainian. Yeah, rook d6 is just a big blunder. I can take on d6 with the knight, it's over. So let's have a look. Let's have a look how to improve white's play here, because black plays, yeah, obviously very dubious moves in the opening. So b6, all right, knight to f3 is okay. h6. Now e3. So first of all, I don't like e3, okay? So black makes a lot of strange moves fighting for strange squares, not central ones. So why not to continue in an aggressive way like c4? So why not to grab the space? Why not to control central squares additionally with your pawns, with your pieces? So what can be more natural, I would ask, so than this approach, just c4, d4, knight c3, and so forth. And if black continues with this crap like g5, you can consider moves like h4. So whenever you see these pawns on the flank in the opening, I think the first reaction should be like undermining this g5. It is under attack. If I play g4, your knight jumps to the center, g4 is under attack. So d6 just weakens my position so seriously, and your knight goes to d3 and finds a great square on f4 at some point. So after that it will go to h5 or will attack the h5 pawn, and most likely black will have to play h6, h5 to protect g4, because this is a vulnerability, this is a problem for black. And I guess this position is very close to winning one strategically, because White does nothing wrong, so white just plays in the center. White improves his position. White creates weaknesses in opponent's camp, while black just creates weaknesses in his camp and does nothing in the sense of development, in the sense of central control, and so forth. So e3 is the first move that I don't really like. So it's too passive for such a opening like b6, h6, right? So after I played g5, again, h4 was really, really cool here, in my opinion. So just to undermine g5 immediately. And after g4, okay, knight jumps to e5. Now g4 is attacked twice, and d6 no longer works. You just grab the material. I have to play something like h5 here, and you can use f4 square as we discussed already. So now through d3 goes to f4 and so on. And again, I would prefer playing something like c4 here, just aggressive play. You should be more ambitious when you play with white, and you should be more straightforward in the sense of controlling the center against such a strange opening. So then knight goes to c3, and you intend to play d5 or maybe e4 at some point, just grabbing more and more space. That's the idea. So approach that you chose, well, it's probably okay, but it's not the one which gives you an advantage, I think, especially h3. So g4 usually just weakens black's position even more, so h3 wasn't needed. So bishop c4, e6, okay. As you can see, I just improved my position, while white managed only to occupy center with 2 pawns, which is not enough here. So other pieces are misplaced, especially this bishop on b3. And after c5, it became clear that white is already in trouble, more or less. So d takes c5, I took with the pawn, which was absolutely normal, but knight to c5 was also quite good, because in this case, I attack e4 already. I have this threat of just taking on c3 and damaging the pawn structure, then grabbing the central pawn. I also have a threat of playing b5, b4, grabbing this very important central pawn. And the weakness of d6 pawn, which was pointed, which was mentioned in chat, is not really something that black should be worried about in this situation. Because, look, how to attack this pawn, in fact. So just queen to d2 or something. First of all, white doesn't have the time for it right now. And even if white does, okay, I can easily protect it with castling. In many cases, I can just give up this pawn. It's not that important if compared to other factors here, like this play along diagonal h8, a1, and weakness of e4, and so forth. So Marcin says that d5 would be better, I guess, against d5 or maybe even earlier. I'm not sure. So after queen e7, probably here d5. Well, also questionable thing because of this knight on c3. Well, in this case, of course, bishop doesn't go to a2, this completely passive position. But still, this opens my bishop g7 and gives me e5. I mean, I can use this square as an outpost at some point. And this pawn on d5 is not necessarily that safe. I don't know. In this case, I think I would have played something like knight c5 maybe, intending to, to exert some pressure on e4, additional one, maybe even knight to b6, you know. Now I can see that knight to c5 doesn't really accomplish anything, but knight to b6 looks logical, because I exert pressure on d5 and want to take on c3 at some point and bring my knight to active position. Maybe I will just castle short and continue with the a5, sacrificing something. So, if compared to what happened in the game, that was probably much better, but in general, I don't think white's position is better anymore. Yeah. And after c5, d5 loses the piece. I just take the bishop. I mean, I play just c4 and the bishop is trapped. It's over now, right? So, yeah. Okay, let us continue. It becomes more and more interesting. So will I survive the next game? Let's play against improving player. It will be hard. Will be hard, but with whites maybe I have chances. All right, what to play? Let's try some pieces moves. It's not necessarily that bad for white, I guess. But I have no idea what to do then. So say I play this. D4 is coming, so let's bring the bishop to b5. It's like Nimzo reversed, but with the knight on c3, which is ugly. But who knows? Maybe if I manage to damage the pawn structure, like capturing the knight on c6, this knight may be helpful on a4. But right now, it's not clear what this knight on c3 is doing, except for just exerting some pressure on d5 maybe. But okay. It's probably not that dangerous for black in general. Alright, a6 completely justifies the position of the knight on c3. So now we'll go to a4, attacking this c5. Yeah, I guess a6 is the worst move here. Now I can just attack this pawn c5 right away. So, this is my target now. And look, I can do this rather quickly. Yeah, it's a great version of Nimzo with white pieces. Yeah, I was lucky. I mean, a6 completely justified my approach. Now black has a headache. What to do with this c5 pawn? And we shouldn't forget c6 may become an object of attack also quite easily. So I have some maneuvers like knight to e5, then knight to d3, attacking this c5 additionally and exerting pressure on this one. So let's see if black has a choice to save his pawns on the board. Now I can definitely try knight to e5. This looks very, very interesting. But then if I take on c6, my knight can just be trapped, I think. Yeah, so it's better just to castle. There is also another idea. Bishop on d6 is vulnerable, right? So I can exert pressure with the d4 now. Additional pressure on this. c5 pawn. I think this position is already very close to winning for white. Very, very close to winning one. Knight to e4 protecting the pawn. Okay. And now, what to do now? To take on c5 simply. Will be not very ambitious, I guess. But something like queen to e1 is a typical thing, just to exchange queens, and then it's again a big problem what to do with the c5 pawn, what to do with the c5 square, and so on. Do I have anything better than that? That's the question. So dc5, let's say, knight takes c5 leads to a great p-neck and play queen to d4. Yeah, I think dc5 is just a straightforward way of winning some material. But black will probably ignore dc5 and play something like bishop c7, but in that case, that queen on a5 is quite limited. Now let's try this move. Feels like a better one than queen to e1, at least right now. There are some ideas connect with the queen d4. Right. So queen to d4, then g7 will be hanging as well as something on c5. Depends on what black is going to do right now. Okay. Not that bad, I think, for white. And I guess black is in trouble. So if knight takes c5, I obviously have something like queen to d4 attacking that knight and pawn on g7. If knight takes a4, I can take on d6 and, well, dark squares are just awful. It's very weak in black's camp. That's one idea. Another idea after knight to c5 is just to do what? To play queen to e1. But this is not very ambitious, I guess. After exchange of queens and knight takes a4, bishop d6, knight to b6, black will have great chances to equalize it. So yeah, after knight to c5, I will definitely try queen to d4. Bishop c5 was also interesting move. In which case, at the very least, I have a good dark square control. And I think bishop to c5 was definitely the best try. Bishop to c7, okay. Bishop remains on the board, but I have extra material now. And I'm much better developed at the moment, so I have some interesting ideas connected with trapping the queen. For example, what if queen d4 now, attacking g7, and intending to play bishop b4, then queen goes to b5, right? So there is still a space for the queen to survive it. Alright, maybe I don't have a clear way to trap the queen. If I play c4, then dc4, yeah, not clear. Not clear. So maybe just knight to d4 followed by f3. Kind of idea. Or maybe bishop b2 first. Well, don't know. Maybe I should just forget about that and play something like queen d4 and then knight to b6. In that case, after queen d4, he just plays f6 and it's not clear what to do because there is a threat of e5. Okay. Well. Maybe it's just time to simplify a position after queen to e1, you know? Okay, just playing with the extra material, with the extra pawn. Alright, let's play this. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure it is the best move. But it feels like a possibility as well. For example, this move is also prophylaxis against e5. So if black plays e5 now, I can take the queen, and after bishop takes, I take the pawn on e5. This sort of stuff. Also, I want to deflect that queen a5 from b6 square, so if there is an exchange on a1, I can then play knight to b6 at some point, I guess. But it also feels like I somehow missed the better continuation at some point, because feels like black definitely has a compensation here. And AKPD says 94 C4 B4. Yeah, we'll look at this after the game. So probably, yeah, I missed the possibility just to trap the queen simply. Yeah, in this position, black obviously has a compensation because of this threat of playing e5. e4 looks just something absolutely incorrect. So maybe f4. Just trying to prevent this e5. Okay, this gives up e4 square, but I don't see anything better right now. And very important to get rid of that bishop. Now white is better, for sure. And yeah, this should be more or less decisive. Okay, so let's have a look at the analysis board. What happened after, first of all, after this bishop to c7. Not this one, but this one in the opening. So after bishop c7, AKPD probably says absolutely correct thing. So just knight d4 to start with, attacking c6 pawn, controlling b5, right? And well, if black plays something like bishop to d7, then c4. By the way, I saw all these moves, but I didn't see that I could play this in a combination. So c4 now controlling b5, but what is really important, protecting the knight on b5, intended b4. But I think exactly here, black has something like knight to c3. And after queen goes away, it's possible to take on a4. But then there is still possible to play b4. Wow, that is what I missed probably, because I thought after knight c3, I'm kind of forced to take on c3, but then this bishop on a3 is handing. In fact, it's possible to play queen e1, and after knight takes a4, bishop b4, b4. Yeah, just b4 trapping the queen, right? b4. Okay, Marcin, that was you, right? Okay. I didn't realize that it is your nickname 1 week ago. Very nice. Yeah, so queen e1 and knight a4, just b4 traps the queen. That's the thing. Or maybe doesn't. Like here, bishop takes h2 is possible. Oh, this position is not that simple. I mean, it's quite tricky. King h2 and queen c7. That's the point. And black is okay, more or less. So now this knight on a4 is a problem, by the way. So I can go away with the king, and then I have a threat of maybe trapping that knight gradually, but it takes a lot of time, kind of takes a lot of moves. That's the thing. That's an interesting thing. Interesting position. Yeah, so maybe it's not that simple to trap the queen here, in fact. Maybe there are some other ideas. For example, here, if we play queen to d3, protecting c3 square. But, well, this, again, gives black some time, I guess. So, yeah. Wasn't sure. Maybe taking on c5 with the pawn in general wasn't that correct, wasn't that great. Maybe even d4 was a bit premature. Because, well... Let's have a look at this moment. So, I was about to play knight to e5 here, in fact, attacking c6. But I thought that it would be not a big threat after bishop to d6. And true, if I take on c6, there is queen c7 and the knight is trapped. But after bishop d6, I can probably play knight to d3, attacking the pawn c5 with a piece, which is probably better than attacking it with the pawn, but who knows. Knight goes to d7 here. I think the only sensible move, because if knight goes to e4, I can play f3. And c5 most likely drops. But there is also some tactics, so like c4 and what is going on, it's hard to evaluate it because bishop on a3 is handed, bishop on d6 is protected. So who knows? All right, it felt like I played something really typical here, castling bishop d6 and d4. Okay, knight went to e4. Well, I don't know, maybe here I lost something. I missed something, I mean. I lost a part of my advantage because after d5, bishop c7, I actually think that black is more or less fine. Well, if it were the normal Nimzo position, for example, I would have played with black. I would have just taken everything on c5 and played queen to d4 or something like that. And yeah, just like 1 week ago, I played very similar position with black pieces. In a normal Nimzo, and there I just was fighting for c5 square for my knight, and gradually just got there. But with white, I was tempted to try something more aggressive. Okay, I took on c5, bishop c7. My first idea was just to play this, and after f6 to play bishop to b4, attacking the queen. But then I realized after queen b5, queen just survives it. And there is a threat of e5 already, and I wasn't sure what to do here. Maybe I should have played this position, like a3, protecting the bishop, and then if e5, so like queen to d3. If it takes on d3, I just take with the pawn, and the knight is forced away. I want to take on b5 and play knight to b6 at some point, and so on. So the position is quite complicated. So I play queen to e1, takes on e1, rook to b8, was probably good. I played knight to d4, bishop d7, was also good. After this f3, knight to f6 and f4, I think black missed something. So knight to e4 was interesting, just right away going back to this great central position, exerting pressure on c5 and intending to play something really nasty like bishop to a5, attacking the rook and fighting for this c3 square. So that was probably most annoying thing for white here. I'm not sure what to do after this. So black played castling, I played rook to d1, centralization, and after that black is also fine, I guess, still fine, but now at least my pieces placement is better and I understand what to do. I can undermine the center easily, I can bring my knight to b6 quickly, well, my bishop comes back to the normal position. And what is really cool, with the help of this tempo play, I managed to exchange this potentially very annoying dark square bishop. After this exchange, as we may notice, I have much better access to dark squares here all around the board. Yeah, e3 is ugly, but it's not that weak, I guess. So I can play now what I played in the game. So I just played rook to d4, c4, and so on. And I have very simple play here. And black is struggling because of this bishop on e6. It is limited, very bad one, and a lot of weaknesses for my knights to attack. So I guess it was better to play knight to e4, not to hurry up with this e5 move, because the best way to play e5 here is definitely to prepare this with the pawn, I think, something like f6 and e5, coming up with a great pawn center and then grabbing more and more space, making bishops more and more active. That was probably an interesting thing to do. So e5 was premature, I think. That is exactly where black definitely misplayed the position. And what is also important, to have the knight on e4 gives you a chance to control this c3, very important square, making my knight a4 quite bad. Also, you exert additional pressure on c5, which means I can't easily improve positions of my minor pieces in general. So this bishop on a3 is kind of stuck, also just protecting this c5 and so on. So knight e4 followed by castling, f6, e5, something like that. I would have played that with black, I guess. All right. In any case, interesting game, and yeah. Thanks for this experience. Let us continue. Here is let's play Aris. Probably black pieces again. All right, quite risky now. Quite risky, because I don't know what to play here. Let's try this move. So completely bad thing, and now I have even worse idea. So I just exchanged light square bishop here. It's very stupid, right? But okay. Let's see. c4. Probably a very logical thing to do. But now my bishop a6 at least has some work. So it attacks c4. So it's not entirely a stupid position, I mean. So to do the same on the king side now, like h5, g6, bishop h6, I think there is just no time for this. So I'll play e6. At least having something more or less conventional for a, I don't know, Nimzer and Queen's Indian player. Still looks awful, absolutely awful, so it's completely misplayed. All right, bishop b4. Let's do it. Very strange position, isn't it? And knight to c3. All right, so maybe it makes sense for me just to grab this knight right now, to have at least sort of counterplay. But with the pawn on a5, I don't have the attack against c4. So I'm afraid I will be just smashed on the king side. So let's play knight e7 first. Weird openings, what's your purpose? My purpose is to give you a chance to beat me because of the opening advantage, and also to show, well, what should be played against this stuff in the opening, right? How to be aggressive enough to actually punish opponent for such a bad play, and to show typical mistakes, actually. So in previous games, Black, misplayed the opening stage, in my opinion. Although I played very strange moves, right? So that's the main purpose today. So a3 forces me to attack. So the same thing. Look, you kind of forced me making the move that I anyway wanted to do, because I played bishop b4 with the purpose of damaging the opponent's structure if there is a chance. And you kind of forced me to do that, so you spend the time, you waste the time, in fact, in such a situation. So I don't think it is a good idea. But still, this pawn on a5 instead of a7 and, for example, any other useful move makes my position still very, very dubious. Maybe it makes sense now just to play this move. Idea is to exchange this bishop d3 after all, because potentially it is the most important attacking piece for white on the king side. Paul says that chess is just endless possibilities. Yeah, endless possibilities to misplay the position, I would say. And only several ones to play it in a decent way. Queen to d3. Well, X, once there is a tool to actually calculate everything, we'll just add one more, I guess, row and one more rank, and, well, start over. So, queen to d3. Yeah, here I wanted to take on d5. By the way, after bishop to d3, interesting move was to take on e6 to sacrifice the minor piece. We will talk about this after the game during the analysis. So typical sacrifice when the bishop is on f1 for these positions, but maybe with the bishop on d3, in this particular case, it could have worked as well. So castle's castle. So without this bishop on d3, my position no longer looks that dangerous, so I definitely have some chances to survive it. Maybe even to get the counterplay at some point. So now I think I have more or less free development. So the position no longer looks that weird. It is something typical for many different opening lines. Alright, rook to e8 and so forth. And what about just taking on e4 right now? So I want to bring my knight to the central position on d5, and I'm not afraid of c4 because my knight can go to b4 or f4 after that, maybe to f6 even. So I guess knight d5 is absolutely playable here. I might be wrong, but let's try it. I guess it's also important because white wants to attack my h7 more or less at some point, and the knight is needed more on f6, I guess, protecting it. Also, the knight exerts some pressure on c3, on this f4 square, so potentially good spots for my knight. So takes e8, takes, okay. Now queen to d7 is more or less forced. A bit risky now, because I have a bad back rank. And knight to e5, alright, not necessarily that dangerous. But I have to be extremely careful. So now if I play rook to e8, let's say, there is a motive of just playing queen f5. In which case, however, I can take on e5, because white also has a problem with the back rank, I guess. So can I try it or not? Rook to e8, just simplifying the position a bit. It may be a blunder. But since I have rook to e5 next move, I guess it should be something really, really playable for black. I guess ideal case for me here is to play the knight against the bishop ending, because the pawn structure is quite bad for white. So white will definitely have some problems with the a4 pawn. And this may give me some great chances. So let's try it. Maybe, well, this version of exchange isn't great because my knight is now far away from a4, by the way. So maybe I'm just misplaying it, I don't know. But let's see. So f4 now looks interesting, but it creates a weakness. On the other hand, it stops the king from getting to... No, it's just a very bad move, in fact. Very bad. But bishop e7 is another bad move, I guess. So king to e2 was correct, and after that, I guess black was really in a big trouble, I believe. So now my king is quite quick, and I get to a4. I think it should be more or less decisive very soon. Again, maybe I'm just misplaying it. Maybe I just overestimate my chances here, but right now it looks very good. So I get very dangerous passed pawn. Very dangerous one. So now the point is just to activate the knight at some, like this, for instance. And I had this in mind, in fact. So bishop a1 was probably the only move there, because now I have a queen. Alright, I was really lucky, but I misplayed it completely by the end. So first of all, this idea of playing knight to f6 was, in my opinion, quite stupid, because my knight appeared quite passive and far away from a4 pawn. So here after queen e4, I should have captured on e5 simply. I missed the thing that c3 was actually under attack after that. So now, I guess the only way to save pawns is to take with a pawn here. And I have the time to, I guess, something like g6 or maybe h6. I don't know which is better. Maybe c6 even. So the point is that if I take here, there's queen a8. Annoying, right? So I have to do something with this, and I guess h6 should be safe. Options, now c3 is definitely under attack. There are also some ideas like knight to f4 and queen to d1 and so forth. So if c4, let's say, I can play knight to c3. In my opinion, extremely annoying move. And now if queen a8, then just king h7, and look, this e4 square is under control, so my knight controls it, and there are a lot of hanging things like a4, d1 square, and so on. So probably taking on e5 was a move here, you know, like, okay, knight f6 is also playable, but after rook to e8, I guess I should have captured with the knight here, having this a4 under attack, having this a4 under pressure. In which case, I have good chances to improve my position gradually and only at the proper moment when everything is ready to simplify it slightly more, I think. I have no idea, but taking with the queen. Okay, queen e8 here and f3, preparing this march with the king to the center. I think here white's position is even better. So I played f5, king f2. Here, I should have played king to f7, definitely, just yeah, bringing my king to the center as soon as possible. In which case, after king e3, king e6, and so like king d3, white is absolutely fine, in fact. And, well, potentially can be even better with the bishop against the knight with pawns on both flanks. So my only idea was to attack a4, but with this knight on e8, very stupid one, very passive one, I have big troubles finding the route to that a4 pawn. So it will take a lot of time. That's what I mean, right? So f4 was a serious mistake. So now something like bishop to c1, in my opinion, was really cool. And after king f7, let's say, if I try the same like in the game, bishop takes f4, king e6, white is just one move closer. And this decides. So now this position is absolutely lost for black. So bishop to c1 actually has the same idea, to attack f4 pawn with the bishop, but from the right position, in my opinion. Probably white wanted to prevent g5, but g5 isn't good, because in that case, after, say, h4, undermining g5, and for example, h6 takes g3, yeah, position is being simplified, but this pawn can't be protected anymore, and I think white starts rolling his pawns quite quickly. Yeah, black has some counterplay here, of course, based on this passed pawn on the a file, so I can play something like knight e6, and then after bishop g5, I can consider something like b5. Well, this may be quite annoying for white, right? So maybe, well, maybe that position wasn't that awful. All right, but what about just simple king to e2 here, just bringing the king to the center? Yeah, probably this one was the best. So king f7, king d3, already intended just to play king to e4. Yeah, this one was really straightforward and quite efficient in my opinion. So if king e6, just king e4. Attacking this guy on f4 with a king, and intending to play something like, I don't know, d5 maybe next move. This looks, wow, disgusting. So d5, c4, and so on, just improving the position. But maybe I still have some counterplay after knight e6, who knows? So takes... Can I take with the pawn here with the idea of b5 and a4? This looks crazy, but maybe playable. So if king f4, then b5 may be decisive with a breakthrough. Well, maybe this position is not that simple. I mean, it deserves definitely some additional analysis. After cd4, let's say c4. I have some crazy ideas like playing d5 maybe even. But, well, it's really hard to believe there is anything. So takes, king c3. Black can be only worse in this position, of course. All right, let's forget about it. But yeah, I guess king e2, it feels like the best decision here, just to bring the king to the center and so on. Coco says, hi Andre, this is for streaming. I try to challenge you. My name ABD2017, please accept. Yeah, I actually wanted to accept your challenge after this game. That's the thing. So, let's accept. Interesting game, right? It was interesting game, the previous one. And I didn't say what was wrong with the entire approach. Everything was correct, but after bishop b4 move with the idea of bishop takes c3, I think a3 was not correct. So something protecting the knight, like simple bishop d2, was good enough to completely, like, punish me for this stupid setup. And then a3, and you recapture with the bishop, and you have no weaknesses. That's the idea, all right? Okay, so let's play this one. I don't know what to try this time. I mean, all moves look more or less sensible. Let's play c3. Knight to f6. Queen to c2. Well, at least with some ideas. Again, not entirely stupid. But as you can notice, I'm just playing random stuff here, so... giving you some advantage, some great one. F3, AKPD suggests F3, maybe. I saw people playing H3, F3, Knight H3, Knight F2, so extremely ugly. All right. Okay, maybe one more move, one more random move, I mean, and then I will start playing normal moves. Okay, E5 so far looks very logical. I mean, what black is doing here. So what to do with white pieces? Time to fight for central squares, more or less. And E4. And somehow I managed to occupy the center, not that bad way. So again, I'm not sure that H6 is like the move you should make here. When your opponent plays this stupid pawn moves all over the board. So what you guys miss here in the vast majority of cases, you like neglect central squares, so you don't control the center with your pieces. I mean, sufficiently. So you kind of have a chance to get the advantage in the center, but you somehow forget. So the previous game was more or less good in this sense. So white played E4, D4, C4, then pieces went to quite active positions. So only A3 forced me to take on C3 actually was a waste of time, but the rest was quite logical. So now we have sort of, I don't know, Philidor reversed, and I think white is not that bad after all this. After all this strange play, I mean. So even H3 looks logical because I prevented knight at G4 somehow. As for bishop F5, Twyho's X, yeah, I guess bishop F5 was very logical move. Just preventing E4. To start with, I don't think that A5 was needed, because I didn't have the intention of playing A5 or something. At least right now. So black, instead of playing this A5 and H6, black could have played much more useful moves in the sense of development and central control. That's my opinion, and it feels like that, right? Okay, so now we have something really typical for Hanham variation, I guess. But reversed, again, reversed. So white is like black in that Philidor. And in the sense of that variation, I made no stupid moves. So all the moves are made in that position, in that variation. So I guess I'm fine here. Yeah, you probably could hear that, right? Mark on the background. Mark on the background making some noise. Okay. So that is a typical thing. Rook e1, bishop to f1. Exerting pressure on e5. Another idea is to play knight d2, ed5, knight to e4. Knight d2 followed by, for example, knight to b3 can be considered, but it's a rare thing to do there. Some ideas connected with knight to e5 followed by d4. So right now I like the idea of just exerting pressure on e5. And this exchange actually simplifies the things for both sides. But I think for white at first place. So let's bring. Okay, this might be not that simple. So if I play knight e2, there is bishop takes f2, queen c5. An interesting idea. So maybe I will start with the bishop e3 here. I don't know. Can it be better or not? Bishop to b5 is also quite interesting. Obviously, I'm not a big expert in this line. I mean, I saw it many times from the other side. And I'm not quite familiar with this pawn structure, but it is also typical for any other closed opening. Like sometimes similar pawn structure arises in righty opening, let's say. Sometimes. Alright, and now knight to d2 should be playable absolutely. And by the way, bishop b5 was quite good. So should we try it right now? Pinning the knight and exerting pressure on e5. And now black will have most likely hard times finding a good defense. Unless he plays something like bishop d6, but it's already sort of achievement for white, I guess. Yeah, looks good. After this c3, queen c2, this looks great, I would say. A rook to d6. Okay, what about this move? Attacking the rook and pawn on e5, which gives me bishop, light squared bishop, a gorgeous one. It's really great piece now. Occupying this long diagonal, exerting pressure on f7. Okay. Now we should somehow convert it. We should somehow convert it into something more tangible, because this knight is going to f4, which is potentially annoying. But first of all, we have to deal with the d file, I guess. Because, look, this knight should be improved. I mean, knight f3. But this knight protects d2 square. So once it moves, there is rook d2. That's why I played rook to e1, to have rook to d1 possibility. Okay, can I play rook to d1 right now? I guess, yeah, I can do it. If I want. Yeah, I guess I have to do this right now. Oh, what's that? Surprising thing, but I think it's quite manageable, so it's not correct. It's not correct. My king can escape easily through the center. There is no play for black. Unless I miss something myself. But I guess I'm absolutely right here. So. Knight on f4, by the way, I will show you after the game how to deal with such a knight on f4. I had something in mind. Queen here, okay, what about slight simplification after queen e3? I think it should be somewhat decisive already. And this is a blunder. Okay. Alright, so let's have a look at, first of all, at this position. We will come back to the opening stage slightly later. So, after I received this position, I was already very happy. Very happy. So, with the result, because this bishop has no counterpart, and it exerts pressure on f7, and so on. So, after knight h5, that was probably a good idea. Rook to e1 and knight to f4. I started, actually... simplifying the position, missing one really annoying thing. So rook to g6 was possible immediately. That is something I somehow missed. Wow, that was a move, and black is better. So if rook takes d8, queen takes d8, controlling h4 square, and h3 is handed and g2 at the same time. Wow, that was a great move for black. And instead of playing rook to d1, I should have started with the king h2, obviously. And now if rook goes to g6, I can play bishop to f1 to continue with the g3. Yeah, or I can probably play g3 right now. So I don't see a problem with this move, right? Yeah. So that was a big mistake, by the way, that I made. So I played rook to d1, completely missing this rook g6, simple continuation. Yeah, black could have been much better, even. Well, maybe after rook g6 I would have played g3, of course. And after knight takes h3, king to g2. So this position is not that really entirely bad for white. But, well, it's extra pawn, right? So knight f4, I don't know, king to f1. Looks quite ugly. I don't know. I don't want to even analyze this in details. It's really, really bad for white. So king to h2 should be played. To have this g3. And that is the idea behind this knight on f4. I mean, you can deal with this with the king h2 and g3. So the point is protect h3 pawn. But what to do, for example, if black somehow attacks the h3? So something like queen to d7, and now we can see that g3 isn't possible. So you can bring the bishop to f1 to start with, and then you can play g3 anyway. And what does it mean? The knight will be forced away, and then your bishop will come back to the normal position. So this is the one possibility. Another typical possibility, if for example the queen is on f6 or something like that. So imagine any other position with this situation on the king side. So the point, if you play g3, let's say, there is tactics like knight to h3, all right? And then knight at f3 is hanging. So in such a situation, usually there is an interesting idea to play knight to g1. That's why king h2. So knight goes to g1, protecting h3. And now g3 becomes absolutely playable. In this particular case, it doesn't work because of this rook d2. That's why I actually wanted to play rook to d1 first, to have this idea of playing knight to g1 and then g3. And that's why I probably started with a rook d1, because I understood that, well, without this rook d1, the entire idea doesn't work. But that was a mistake. So here, in this move order, that was probably correct. So king h2, queen f6. I don't think there is already a threat of taking anything. I think I'm fine, more or less, here. So I can afford playing rook to d1 here. Controlling d2, and I'm ready to come up with this maneuver. So knight to g1, protecting h3, and then g3. If I'm not mistaken, this typical idea against the knight f4, well, was probably introduced by Karpov in the game against Artur Yusupov, or maybe that was Artur Yusupov who played that against Karpov. I don't really remember, but I first saw this in one of Mark Dvoretsky's books. So this idea, king h2, knight g1, g3. So, have no idea. Very typical thing against such a knight in such a pawn structure. Okay, as for the opening stage, so c3, okay, knight f6, queen to c2, d5. Everything logical right now because I wanted to play e4, you prevented. a4, now a5. You don't need this a5 whatsoever. So instead, just play aggressive c5. a5 isn't a threat, right? a5 isn't a threat. It's not even a, I don't know, it doesn't accomplish anything except for like giving you extra tempi here. So c5, obviously, and knight to c6, fight for the space. So be more aggressive in the center. So d3, let's say, with the idea of e4. Okay, you have a choice between giving me a chance to play e4 here, or playing something like bishop f5, also aggressive move, developing move, controlling e4 square, and stopping me from playing this easy e4. And then knight c6, e5, and so on. Maybe even d4 at some point. So that is the play against this, crappy openings. Like when one of the sides does nothing in the center, but doing something strange on flanks. That's the idea. That's the thing. All right. Don G came as well. Very nice. Happy you're here, my friend. All right. So I guess now it's time to make a little break and tell you the thing. So again, repeating the very important info for guys who follow this stream not from the very, very beginning. Do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because there you will find not only streams but a lot of different really instructive videos. So I'm mainly a chess teacher. I'm not a player, blitz player, bullet player or something. So I'm here to teach mainly, and just sub to my channel to be notified about my live streams, about my new videos and so forth. So you can find the link here below. It is bit.ly/Mostrovsky. It leads to my YouTube channel. Another important thing here, so if you are my Twitter follower, this is a guarantee you won't miss any chess-related activity of mine. So the link is here again below. It is Master Ostrovsky, and you can easily follow me on Twitter and be notified about new videos, about some other streams, I don't know, live streams like this one, and so forth. So, what else? If you like what you see, if you like what you hear, if you want to force me doing more of this, you can support me financially as well. So you have different possibilities. The one is to send me some bucks through PayPal. You can find the link in the description to this video on my YouTube. And you can also send me a super chat, so you can notice that where you type your comments, there is also the sign of $1, so you can support me just right now, sending me some money. All right. Only if you want, only if you like what you see, only if you want to actually motivate me and so forth. So completely up to you. All right, now let's come back to playing. So let's play some more games. And somehow all the challengers just disappeared. I don't know why. Probably they decided I'm finishing the stream, but no. At least 30 minutes more, okay? So, let's play 2 second game. So the one happened 1 week ago, and here's the second one. Well, what to play against you, my friend? I don't even know. So let's try h4 or something. So in the first game I played h6, a6. Now I kind of play a4, h4. That is just a complete bullshit. And most likely I will be punished for this approach in this game finally, because 2 is quite a strong player. Alright, don't know what to do here. Let's play b3. Knight to c6, also very logical move. g3. Double fianchetto with the inclusion of stupid moves like h4 and a4. Which will make it harder for me to play c4 or f4 undermining central pawns. But alright. At least this looks nice. I mean, if black will play something like a5 now, I will play bishop b2 and h5. Yeah, position will be symmetrical on both flanks. All right, would be nice. But there is also bishop f5 and bishop c5. It's also symmetrical position. If we talk about the flanks. All right, don't judge me. Because it's not a symmetry, because, well, on one flank we have queens, on another one we have kings. And here is the first super chat from Don Gravelli. Thank you very much, my friend. Don G, you're the best. Best of the best. So bishop to c5. Now I have some problems with f2 and c2 squares. I think I have to solve these problems gradually. But first, let's play e3, protecting f2. Protecting f2 because, well, it may end up in disaster, I think, if I neglect this bishop on c5. Now what about d3? Yeah, that's a strange game. Really strange one. But it will be not that simple for black to actually open up a position here. Now, of course, this is much better played without h4 and a4, with pawns on h3 and a3 controlling like the whole force rank. So the weakness of this g4 and b4 maybe just decisive in the sense of evaluation. of this situation. But who knows? Okay, let's play d4. The question, what kind of opening is this? This is a complete bullshit. That's how it is called. Oops. The call. Unexpected, absolutely. Alright, bishop g4, knight to e2. Knight to e2 should be played, I think. Bishop to b4. Alright, after this check, I'm not sure what should be the move. c3 looks like a tempo move. But this weakens d3 square. Is it really important or not? I'm not sure. But bishop c3 looks also like a move. But after bishop b4, I don't create a threat. And this stops me from normal development. So I think c3 is something I should play, followed by bishop a3. Because this bishop was like very stupid after d4. And this bishop d6 is potentially very important in the sense of attack on the king side. So I have to exchange it. It's like a typical French idea, right? Because now we have French pawn structure reversed once again. And here is the support from Paul as well. Super chat from Paul. Guys, you're making me happy. You're making me happy. Thanks a lot, Paul. That's very nice. Let's grab the bishop d6 and continue development with the knight d2. I guess this should be something very logical, right? So everything is more or less protected now. So f3 is under control. There is no bishop to f3. So I can think of castling, in fact. I can think of undermining this d5 after c4. Maybe I will even play b4, attacking that knight, because c4 is also under control now. So we'll see. Knight to h5. Okay. There's maybe a threat of taking on e2, taking on g3 then, but I don't think it is a current threat, so maybe somewhere in the future. Probably the idea is just to play f7, f5. And you know, this bishop starts looking very annoying. This bishop on g4. So let's try just to get rid of it. I don't like it, really. Yeah, I know this exchange may lead to weakening of the position on the king side, but at the same time, look at this. I just closed the f file more or less. And g4 is kind of under attack. Wow, what's that? This is a sacrifice. This is a sacrifice, but I think I'm fine here. I think I'm having a compensation for it. Yeah, it really feels like I'm just a defendant side in this situation. Let's do this. Rook g1. Knight to f6. Now h4 may be a problem. Maybe not that big problem. You know, feels like I should play queen e2 and castle long. Black is ready for it. So a6 preparing b5, right? Or maybe just protecting b5 square, preventing queen to b5. Okay, what about this? b4 and a5, kind of fixing the pawn on b7, preparing knight b3, knight a5. Looks like I just helped my opponent to improve his knight, right? Yeah, that was stupid. That was stupid. So let's play French after all. It's time to undermine the center. Okay, let's take. So, now I have a concrete object of attack. It is pawn on b7. And where should my queen go? If queen c2, then knight e4 is annoying. So probably I should play something like queen to a2, preventing this knight e4. No, I don't think I have the time for it. So if I play queen a2, queen d3 is potentially very bad for me. So let's try to attack something. Okay, this gives me this check. Which may be not enough, by the way. My position looks very bad. Oh my god. G takes f2 is a great threat, so I have to take this way, I think. Yeah, this is interesting. So after knight g3, I have queen b7 with some counterplay all of a sudden. So rook on a8 is hitting with check. I think I can play this, right? Or not? Okay, this gives me some time. It gives me a chance, maybe. Oh, that was a bad mistake, I think. Queen to d5 should have been played. Alright, that was a great game. So it was somehow misplayed by the end. By both players, I think. By both players. But that was interesting. So, somewhere here I started playing really, really bad chess. So, I mean, the opening was awful, I know. But somewhere here I started misplaying it completely. So, taking on f4 with the pawn was correct. But after queen g6, yeah, somewhere here, I guess I could have played much better. Okay, rook g1 is not necessarily that bad. But after knight to f6, why not just playing b4 immediately? So b4, knight here, queen goes to b3, now exerting pressure on d5. And then castling, completing the development, and well, I have extra exchange and good chances to win this, right? So I have some problems with the pawn structure, but I don't have this awful king on e1 anymore. So that was probably my main mistake. Then I play queen e2, a6. All right, it was still possible to castle, by the way, right here, right now. But then b5, but b5 is nothing, I think. So it's impossible to attack with only one rook, right? So after b5, I just take. After a b5, I take with the queen. It looks like I control everything. So b5 isn't a threat here. So I have the time to improve my position. I'm in position of the king, like bringing the king to b2 or something. And again, white should be winning here. So I started playing something amazingly stupid. So I played b4, a5. Knight just went to great position to f5. That was nice. Here it was completely playable just to capture on d5 with the knight e7, let's say. Attacking b4. But okay, cd5 can't be that bad. I played b5, knight to f5, rook here, knight to h4. Yeah, everything is just very logical. So I completely underestimated black's play here. So I thought this would guarantee something, but it doesn't guarantee anything. So knight to e4, great. Queen here. Maybe black was just slightly in the rush here. Maybe it was much better for... I don't know. It was better for black just to play something like rook d8. I have a feeling that if you just protect the pawn on d5, white has no real defense against this g3 play. So something like rook to d8, bringing the rook to the game. Maybe just decisive, I don't know. So there is no checkmate, I can't take on d5. If I play something like rook to c7, okay, you can play this g3 now. I think it's winning, just simply winning for black. Yeah. It's simply lost. I mean, there should be no defense for white. White is playing with only queen and the rook, while black is playing with the queen, with the rook, and with the knight. And pawns are just amazing, so... Yeah, something like protecting d5 was easily winning. Maybe even what you played was winning. I mean, g3, queen d5, king f8. I took on g3 because there was this threat of just taking on f2 with check and then very quick checkmate. So I took on g3, you took on g3, I took on b7. Okay, you played rook to e8, correct move. Now, I'm not sure I could have captured on g3. Maybe that was a move for me, but it was so dangerous at very first glance, at least. And probably the coordination of the queen and the rook should be decisive here. Like, then takes on e3 with the queen or with the rook. No, it can't be good for white, for sure. That's why I played rook to c8, hoping for some counterplay. But knight simply went back to e4. And there is a threat of queen g1 checkmate, so I expected after rook e8 that you would take with the king, in fact. And I wasn't sure I will have a perpetual in that case. Maybe I have a perpetual, maybe I don't. So queen c8, king goes to e7. No, I probably have, because you can't really cross the 6th rank. In that case, I have queen c6 check. Very annoying. Yeah, and I have e5 square. At very least, so if king e6, then queen e5. Yeah, this may be not so simple. Maybe I have a draw here. So queen takes c8 was played with additional idea of just bringing the queen to b5, by the way. So probably here I should have captured on a6 instead, or should have played something like queen to d5, in fact. Just controlling the situation in the center, controlling the knight still, being able to check for d6 or c5 once knight goes away. And kind of limiting opponent's queen, because now if queen goes to b5, then I just take it and b7 decides. So after queen a4, I'm not sure there is a checkmating threat, so maybe I can just simply take on e4. Yeah, maybe I just can take here. So for example, if queen b4 check, then I can play king to f1, because b1 is controlled, right? If there is a threat, if there is, sorry, a check from a5, okay, king d1, I should escape, and I have a lot of pawns here, I mean, so I think queen d5 was the correct move here for white. Well, interesting. Yeah, I guess rook d8 was decisive. I mean, rook d8 protecting d5 pawn, and it's over. It's over, more or less. So there's such a great threat of just g3. This knight is so great here on e4. Should be somehow winning. Another idea, by the way, was to play queen to h5. So also protecting the pawn on d5, and having another idea in mind. Now queen to h2. Or maybe same g3. Same g3 looks also interesting here, because if I take with the rook, there's queen h1 with a checkmate. Maybe even queen h5 was better. Yeah, great position. I think it's just lost. Simply lost. What about queen b1 instead of knight e4? Let's have a look at this. Maybe I missed something. So to rook c8. Oh, there was queen b1. I'm so sorry I didn't see that. Yeah, queen b1 wins, right? Oh my god, queen b1 just decides. Yeah, that was absolutely winning. So king d2, knight e4. It's a checkmate unless I take on e4. Marcin, correct. Correct, absolutely. Yeah, queen b1. Oh my goodness. This is so losing. This is so losing. Yeah. So, no questions. Black actually played perfectly this last stage, almost perfectly. So this idea with bringing the knight to f3, then knight to e4 and g3 was great. But somewhere here, being under time pressure, started playing not the best moves. Yeah, queen b1. Oh my god. Yeah, queen b1 was just decisive. No questions. Yeah, no questions. Marcin, you're great. Yeah, you noticed this. Well, it's very, very logical thing, right, to bring the queen as soon as possible to attack the king. But yeah, I somehow missed it completely as well. As for the opening stage, everything was alright, I guess. So just normal development. It's really hard to criticize such an approach with bishops on f5 and c5, right? But somewhere here, I think black could have played this slightly better, slightly more aggressive. So something like d4 now, stopping me from building this flexible pawn structure with pawns on d3, e3, where after I can play d4 against e4 or e4 against d4. I think that was the time to do this right here. And as you can see, I can't play d3 because my e3 pawn is already hanging. And black simply has more space now, and in fact, it's not clear how white is going to solve the problems. So if knight goes to e2, let's say, there is a d3 idea. Why not? So making this pawn completely weak and get into d3 square with a piece. This looks just awful. I mean, I can probably take on c6, and even maybe on e5 at some point, but well, it's nothing compared to this light squared weaknesses all around the board. So d4 is really annoying. I don't know what to do after that. So d3 is a very annoying threat. I can't play d3 myself. Looks just strategically lost. Looks like a strategically lost position. Maybe something like knight f3 is still playable, but here black can do almost everything, like e4, let's say. Okay, position is being simplified a bit, but still, black has more space, and this square on g4 looks so weak. And yeah, this pawn on d2 will be just a great object of attack. Yes, this position is awful for white as well. And it is only one idea. There are plenty of other things to do. So bishop to g4, pinning my knight and creating sort of this e4 looks also very annoying for white. I don't know what to do here. So there is a sort of e4. That is the result of my h4 move. So g4 becomes completely weak, and at some point it starts playing against me. So, for example, here, I can't play d3 because e3 is hanging. I can't play e4 because this square is simply controlled. So probably I have to do something like this, but look at this position. Oh my god, this looks so bad. So after knight b4, another move, by the way, using the fact that I played a4 on the other flank. Again, with a bunch of different threats, including just playing this gorgeous d3 move. Well, it's really hard to look at this position. It's so bad. For example, d3, e4 takes d3. What is this? It's just lost, I think. Yeah. This is absolutely bad. Absolutely lost for white. Something like this. So d4, I guess this was very, very interesting thing. So if bishop c6, then bc6, and I have a lot of light squared weaknesses, so it's nothing. It's nothing dangerous for black, I mean. So too many light squared weaknesses here. So I can't really give up such a bishop. And since that, this looks just very good for black. All right. Interesting game, in any case. Thank you for this experience. Let us continue. Let us continue. Here is chess math. 5 plus 3. All right. Der bomber, 5 plus 0. Let's play the bomber first. And I'm playing with black. Alright, I think I played almost everything. Super stupid. Maybe I will try something dubious, but, well, slightly better looking, like maybe Alekhine defense, or, you know, 2 knights or something like that. I mean, 2 knights, knight f6, knight c6, obviously, not after e4, e5, and knight f3, bishop to c4, and so forth. Have no idea. Let's try this one. Yeah, so I was trying to play this with white earlier today, I guess. So 2 knights and then something, you know, like this. e5 was also an interesting try here, but I'm playing random moves here. So some of them inevitably become quite bad. So can I play bishop b4 now? So again, it's like a Nimzo with the stupid knight c6 inclusion. But against f3, it's maybe not that bad, you know? I can play d5 now, yeah. We have a transposition to a normal line. It doesn't look that great at very first glance, but I hope you will understand the idea behind all this. So first of all, I just play this. e5 was the main line immediately or after cd5, ed5. And now my target is this pawn on d4. And e5 doesn't help because I have this queen h4 check. That is my pawn. And I'm just grabbing it quickly. That is what white simply underestimated. This weakness, I mean. White has some counterplay after castling. But I think I still can grab the pawn if I want. Just play knight to c6 and then knight to e5. I can take on c3 now and go back to c6, also counter-attacking e5. I'm not sure that c5 is a good idea. But if I play knight c6, there are some problems with the c7 after knight to b5. Yeah, so probably it's a good idea just to get rid of this knight right now. And then bring the knight to a better position. By the way, knight to f5 is also an interesting square, just intending to occupy e3 if the pawn is captured twice. Yeah, I guess this is even better than knight to c6. All right. Yeah. And 2 extra pawns, right? Yeah. Great advantage. Great advantage for black. Now, bishop has to be improved. Not a big problem to do this. So let's bring it to a4 first. Attacking the rook d1, forcing it away from the d file. Now I wanted to grab the control of the d file after c5, exchange on d2, and bring in the rook to d8. So this thing, and I think this leads to absolutely winning position for black. So rook to d3, complete domination now. It's over, so c3 is hanging. After king b2, I have rook d2. And it's lost. Now for sure, I mean, I'll grab one more pawn and then I will just exchange everything on c2 and I will have 3 extra pawn in a king and pawn ending. Or alternatively, I will have extra minor piece after taking on c2. Yeah. So after this f3 and e4, actually we had a transposition to the line which usually arises after this. After this move order, so d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight to c3, bishop to b4, f3. And now knight c6 is a playable line, so after e4 and d5 we have exactly the position we had in our game. So the idea here is that after cd5, ed5 and e5, knight goes back to g8, and now black starts attacking this d4 pawn. So this is the object of attack, and black also tries to use f5 square to come up with the blockade. So this knight goes simply to e7, and then this bishop in many cases goes to f5 once white's bishop goes to d3. So exchanging light squared bishops, and then once the knight is finally on f5, because it's not that hard to imagine how it gets there to f5. There is a play against d4, so this bishop b4 can also join this attack after going to a5 and b6 as well. So something like this. This is the main idea behind black's setup in general. So yeah, black loses some tempi. Some pieces look quite ugly, but once the coordination is here, well, there is a typical position, which is not necessarily that bad for black. If black manages to come up with the coordination, of course, he can even get the advantage here. So this line was played by many good players, including Sergei Tivakov, so I think he's one of the best experts with black here. So how to improve this for white? I mean, we had this position from a different move order, right? First of all, d5 deserves attention, I believe. But okay, knight to c3, e6. I guess here d5 is great. Just attacking my knights, I think, deserves serious attention. So my knight goes to e5 or something. And now just something like e4. I don't believe in this position, really. So I don't like it at all. So what is going on here? White simply has a lot of space. I don't know. If you don't like the idea of bishop b4, you can start with the a3. No, a3 isn't a good idea because of knight to c4. All right. So maybe here even, instead of playing d5, just to start with the a3, preventing this bishop to b4 and preparing this e4. This is interesting. So after d5, we have a strange queen's gambit. After bishop to g5, I think. That's a strange position, absolutely. You know, to play d5 or not to play d5 here. I'm not sure. Okay, what about d5? And if knight to e5, something like queen to d4. This looks great. Why should it be bad? Yeah, this looks great. So knight to g6, then something like, you know, h4, knight to f3, knight to f3. Yeah, just controlling e5, having a lot of space and so forth. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't like this position. I don't like the idea of spending so much time with black, achieving nothing in the center, absolutely. So, there was an interesting try, just leaving me without this typical counterplay. You know, because what happened in our game, I actually managed to play d5. That was important, right? And, yeah, I was fine after that. Okay, let's play one more. Let's play one more. Let's play one more. Forget the past. Nice nickname. And I'm playing with black. Okay, let's forget the past and play something different. Do you know what, actually? I don't know what to try. So let's try something I completely don't know. So I have no idea what happens after d takes c5. I have never ever played it with black, and since I'm a e4 player, never knew what to do here with white. So d takes c5. Okay, let's attack the pawn. I think knight c6 should be like natural follow-up. Knight f3. Now I guess I have two options to attack this pawn, so to continue with the attack against d5, or just to undermine it with the d6 move. I like the idea of undermining the pawn, at least getting some pieces developed. Because playing something strange like queen e7, well, maybe it's correct, but I have no idea. Let's try this one, in any case. And knight to c3, already given me a chance just to take on e5, in fact. Maybe there are some problems after queen d8, king d8, bishop g5, f6, castling long with check, right? That's probably the idea. Okay, so let's continue developing pieces. Bishop g4. So, I believe there is no compensation, of course. But my opponent doesn't want to play the position with the material advantage. I don't know why. He wants to prevent me from developing my pieces, but I think I have a normal position after f takes c6. So now I control the center with my pawns. White doesn't have a central pawn at the moment. Okay, pawn goes to e4, but I can do the same with the e5 whenever it feels like a move. So let's bring the knight first to f6. I guess this position is already quite good for black. I mean, it's not better, there is no advantage or something, but it no longer feels like a dubious or something. Just a normal position, right? More typical for open games, even, not for this d4. So, bishop to b5. Okay, let's just castle. I have the f file I can use. So, I need to do what? To bring the knight somewhere. to h5 maybe, exchange dark square bishop, then knight to f4, and I will have annoying pressure on white's king position. So what about this? As simple as that. So knight goes to e5. There is an annoying pin along diagonal, h5, d1. I think it's close to winning position for black now. So white did nothing actually to get the advantage in the center. Then exchanged his light squared bishop for my knight on c6, which is also absolutely incorrect. And now my bishop g4 just decides, I guess. So even if white moves the queen right now, I can grab the knight on f3. Then my knight goes to e5, and this absolutely weakened position of the king on the king side will lead to a simple win for black, I guess. Question from Martin, do you guys know any good application to organize your opening repertoire? So I can recommend the database, the simple database. So you can buy ChessBase, for example, it's a good choice. You can also use online databases like the one on Chess24, let's say. But if you really want to come up with a repertoire, a consistent one, I would recommend to buy a book, repertoire book. I think it is the best way to progress on your level, right? So if you wanted to learn it, right? If you want to organize, I mean, to have everything like stored, right? I think the database should be just an obvious choice. And if we talk about databases, I think ChessBase is still the best one. So queen to d3, yeah, I can just take on f3. And I think simple like this should be decisive. Bishop f3, knight e5, attacking the queen, then taking on f3, connecting the queen to h4 square or anything, attacking further things in white's camp, yeah. Just very bad, very, very bad for white. Yeah, I think taking the pawn was just okay. After d6, just ed6. Black doesn't have such a great advantage in development, so that white should ignore the extra pawn. I guess ed6 was just great opportunity. So there is nothing to discuss, in fact. So that was completely misplayed, I think, especially after e6, fe6, e4, knight f6, this one. So this idea is completely incorrect in this position. It was already a good idea for white to try bishop e2, then h3, getting rid of the bishop, and so forth. Maybe bringing the bishop to c4 was interesting here. In which case, if I play knight to e5, you just come back to e2, and you kind of force this simplification on f3 when the position is absolutely balanced. If I don't play knight e5, I have to understand that after something like castling and h3, I may experience some troubles with the e6 pawns. Now, after bishop f3, there may be a possibility even to take on e6 first, and then take it on f3 again with the extra pawn, with the pair of bishops, and it's a different story. So black is fighting for a draw, and it's really hard to accomplish it. So yeah, bishop c4 deserved attention, bishop e2 deserved attention, but definitely not bishop b5 with the idea of capturing on c6, because in this case you have different problems. The main one is the problem with the knight f3. It was still possible, of course, to avoid the worst and to play something like queen to d3, let's say. Now, but even here, I think my position is already quite pleasant to play. So I play knight d7, takes. I have a threat of taking on f3, but here you still have a chance just to go away with the knight, so to play something like knight to d4 maybe. And, well, this is a normal playable position. I don't think black has anything decisive here. But as I said before, it's quite pleasant to play this one. So I can play this, let's say here, then tempo moves c5. Then my knight can jump at some point to c4, attacking b2, and so on. So I have, again, a clear plan. I have slight advantage because of the bishop, so potentially it may be important. I don't know. I like my position already, so it's no longer dubious, it's no longer bad, and so forth. All right, so let's play one more game. I think it will be the last one for today. What was the book Andre was talking about earlier? Look, I wasn't talking about a concrete book, but there are a lot of repertoire books. So you can find a lot of interesting items, for example, in Gambit publications. So I like this publishing house in the sense of repertoire books. There are some interesting choices. For example, repertoire for a positional player, if I'm not mistaken, and so forth. So let's play the last game for today, and let's play Box Me. And I have no idea. F3 was suggested, right? F3 was suggested earlier in chat. And now what? Let's play something crazy. Let's play something crazy. Okay, so black gives me a chance to grab the pawn here. Let's take it. Let's take it. Knight c6. Intending just to capture it on e5, right? I think it makes sense for me to keep protecting it somehow. So bishop to f4, or maybe f4, and then knight to f3. Yeah, I know I just spend a lot of time. Or maybe I should play e4 now. Look, e4, d takes e4, I just take on d8. Yeah, I like the idea of playing e4 now. Because if black plays d4 and I play f4, it's much better version if compared to f4 right away, prior to playing e4. And if black takes on e4, okay, maybe he wins the pawn back, but I take on d8, and I will have some initiative, I guess. Who knows? Let's see. Now let's check it. Knight takes d8. Knight takes d8. F4 was probably the best try for me, but right now I like the idea of playing tempo moves. So knight to c3, attacking central pawn. And preparing knight to b5, knight to d5, or simply knight takes c4. Okay, after bishop f5 I can consider even taking on e4 with the pawn because it is also a tempo move. And I like the idea of just grabbing the pawn with the tempo. Yeah, king takes d8 was probably better than knight takes d8. Slightly better, because in that case, knight on c6 remains active and there is a chance to bring the knight to d4 or b4. Zweihaus X is absolutely right. Yeah, I think so as well. I expected exactly king takes d8. That's true. After bishop b6, I have knight d5 possibility, which looks very nice. It deprives black of castling long for sure, because I think the only defense is rook to c8. So bishop e6 is, well, looks natural, but it's not the best position because knight to e6 should have been there to protect c7 in case of knight b5 or knight to d5. So let's see what is better. Knight to b5 attacking c7, knight to d5. I still like the central move, knight to d5. Knight to b5 was probably slightly more attractive in the sense of grabbing some material. So if rook c8, I take on a7 and come back to b5. But okay, let's forget about the material. I just like how my position looks now. Yeah. So black definitely missed the chance. So it looks like today I was really close to losing the game only against ΣUBSCRIBE. So other guys didn't manage to actually cause a problem to me, even though I was playing a complete bullshit in each and every game. What does it mean? It means you have to spend the time on learning chess. So try to understand the basic concepts. Although they look very simple, right? Control the center, just develop the pieces and so forth, but you violate all this, as you can see, every time when you play a normal game. So forget about engines, forget about, I don't know, anything computer related. Just buy a normal book on chess strategy and basic principles. Like, for example, John Nunn's Understanding Chess Move by Move. A good choice. And read it from the very start till the very end with a normal real chessboard. That should be your first step towards the chess improvement. And so at the same time with reading John Nunn's book, you can also watch my videos on my YouTube channel. This should also help. So you can subscribe to my channel easily following the short link you can find here below. It is bit.ly/Monstrowski. Just go there and press the button subscribe. Bishop to e3, developing the bishop and so forth. So it's more or less over now because I have pair of bishops, extra pawn, and this extra pawn is the one on d6. So great supported, protected, passed pawn. There is no chance for black, I guess, to survive it. I'll just complete my development. Then I will take on a7. Or maybe I will do something else. I don't know. It depends on what black is going to do. If king d7, then maybe I'll just start attacking this f7 pawn. Because I have f-file, which is open. It looks very natural for me to try to attack f7. Black resigned because position is absolutely lost here, right? So let's have a look how to improve black's play here. I guess f3, e5, d4 should be answered with simple e takes d4. I don't know why black didn't do this. After that, queen takes d4, knight to c6 leads to disastrous position, absolutely, with this weakening of dark squares here. Now, maybe it's still playable. I mean, I can still survive it, I'm sure, but I don't know, maybe I have to play something like queen f2 here. I'm not terribly surprised if this is something like the best move, at least covering some dark squared weaknesses. But look, just d5, again, normal central strategy, winning tempi, playing aggressive, like bringing the pieces to active positions should pay off quickly. Yeah, after playing d5 and d takes c5, I already felt like okay here, because at least I have a pawn, and I have a good way of just counter-attacking it. So after e4, I think I'm fine. So this position is more or less balanced. And here there was a suggestion from ΣUBSCRIBE, and I think he was right, absolutely, to take with the king. And the idea that knight remains active here on c6, attacking e5 pawn and attacking squares like b4 and d4, so I think this should guarantee at least the balanced play. So after knight takes d8, well, I think white is slightly better. So after knight c3, I expected, of course, takes on f3 move, like the main one. Knight takes f3, so as we may notice, white has slightly more active setup here. There are ideas like knight to b5, knight to d5. I can easily start attacking f7 pawn as well. So I like my position here. I can castle quickly, long, and come up with some sort of attack against the king. Because in a sense of attack, I have all the resources, right, except for the queen probably. But this is still a good situation for the attacking side. If the king fails to find a safe square quickly, something like this, right? So e takes d4. Just as simple as that. Because with the f3, I weaken dark squares. After e takes d4, you kind of make position slightly more open, and this simplifies your access to dark squared weaknesses, I guess. That's the idea. Okay, so that was an interesting session, in my opinion. Was probably a slightly strange looking one, right? Because I played complete crap. But you noticed that even though I played four amazingly bad moves, 4 or 5 amazingly bad moves in each and every game, you sort of failed to punish me for it, which means you have to work on your understanding mainly. And for this, I recommend just a good book. Just choose one good book and go through this. And also don't forget about my channel and my recommendations. All right, guys, wish you all the best and see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.